Hi everyone, I trust you well. I am Kolbrun Karla from LoveKeys.EnergyHealing&Meditation. In this video I will be a little bit more on personal notice, and what I want to achieve with this video is to put the awareness of how easily the emotional, vibrational flow of shame can flow so easily from one generation to another, and how we can stop this flow together just by putting the awareness of this flow. So please share and like this video if you find it helpful. Memories, emotions, and our intuition is very connected, and it's very important for us all to go over the human emotional scale once in a while, just as a reminder in what level we want our home to be vibrating in. All the family members become more or less connected with the main collective energy at home, and it's up to us, the parents, to keep the vibrational flow as high as possible. So like we know, the highest vibrational emotions in the human emotional scale are love, joy, and happiness, gratitude, and thankfulness, for example. The lowest emotions are shame, blame, guilt, fear, for example. And I'm going to talk about shame and blame in this video. So even though I will be talking a little bit on personal notice, I'm sure many of you have similar experiences that I have. So when I was a little girl, I didn't have high standards for myself. I wasn't told so much. I was loved, and my boundaries were crossed over and over again. I didn't feel connected with anyone, and I felt shameful and not clever. And I didn't know and understand why. Why did I feel this way? Because deep within myself, I knew I was the light. Well, now I know, and my knowledge is sacred, and I choose wisely when to speak, and I prefer to listen to my intuition. I have created my own standards, and that took me a long time. And I have created my own boundaries towards myself and others. When I was a little girl, I didn't understand what was going on until later on. I would like to say it's not in my memory anything about sexual abuse, but my shamefulness was very intense about myself because of other reasons. So when I got this knowledge that this shamefulness that was put on me when I was a little girl was influenced from the belief system of my parents and other people that I had to depend on when I was a child, and all of this told me what to believe about myself. So in other words, others' beliefs and opinions about me became mine. These beliefs were blocked deep inside my unconscious mind, and I have been unblocking them step by step throughout my whole life. So these beliefs about myself were stimulated in my childhood, mostly before the age of 7, and I started to disconnect and forget the light within me. And my unconscious mind took over my very own belief system about myself. Our purest belief system about ourselves is always vibrating at the highest level when we are born in this world. And it's very easy to scramble it. And even though parents today have much more spiritual awakenings, and they are protecting their children and respecting their freedom, for so many of us, the biggest challenge in our life is to find this pureness again, to connect with ourselves again, the confidence and the self-love. So let's say our mind is like an empty room from the day we are born. And this room starts to fill up with all kinds of informations from people in our environment with their beliefs and truth about life. And I mean, many of those people have not at all unhealthy mindset. Unfortunately, we have forgotten about almost everything that happened before the age of 7. And these memories are within our unconscious mind that took all the space in our mind and is controlling over our conscious mind. Well, there might be a little space left in the room up to the age of 14, but after that, we are more or less talking about conscious mind. So within the space of unconscious mind, there are all kinds of false beliefs that we might have about ourselves. So after we are grown up and we know the truth about ourselves, the unconscious mind is still controlling unless we connect them together. So most of our beliefs throughout our life, how we act, what we say, how we feel, comes from our unconscious mind that was molding before the age of 7. Because even though we know how to feel about some kind of situation, we might feel totally different. And where does that come from? So for example, we might feel worthy when we're grown up. But for some crazy reason, we feel worthless. And that is a pure example how shame from childhood can control your self-worth. And with another word, if somebody put their shame on you when you were a child and made you feel worthless, and after you are grown up, you know your worth, but still in some crazy way, you feel worthless. So it's good to put the awareness into this matter and why this is happening so we can stop this process. I'm going to keep on with my story. So this little girl, me, she became a young woman. And after a long relationship where her boundaries were not respected and crossed over again and again and over again, she got lost. After this long relationship where the energy of alcoholism of her partner became like the energy of emotional abuse, she decided to stick with her boundaries and she left. And it was not easy. She was blamed for all the shamefulness in this long relationship because she didn't say anything. She had to learn some more about how to create and respect her own boundaries and had more experiences with narcissists, lies, and even a big theft. And after she lost everything that she had been working so hard for, and after losing relationship she thought were solid with friends and family, she got her knowledge. And her knowledge is sacred. A little input. Check out my video about narcissist versus empath or highly sensitive being. You might find that interesting. Okay, so make a long story short. I had for such a long time been carrying shame that wasn't even mine, and I didn't realize it. So I did it again because I didn't have this knowledge. Not only that, I was the one that was blamed for it because I didn't speak, I didn't tell. You know, it's so important to be open in all communications. But if we are shameful for ourselves or others, it's so challenging because we often prefer silence over shame. And that is how the flow of shame flows like this. So I was carrying shame and blame from others that didn't or couldn't dive deep in their childhood trauma because it was too painful for them. And they had as well forgotten about the light within them. They were controlled by their unconscious mindset as well. So it's very difficult to blame them or be angry towards them that have put their shame on you. When we know how easily this flows from one generation to another. And the main thing is not to take anything like this personally. We need to step out and protect ourselves. But first we need to have the awareness of this flow. What I realized is that all those people that came across my path and affected my self-belief in a negative way since I was a little girl and older even, before I realized this knowledge, all those people had experienced or witnessed some kind of abuse in childhood, sexual abuse or other kinds of abuse in one way or another. And unconsciously, they put their shame on me because they were so shameful of their childhood and couldn't deal with it. And none of them have done any self-work, and that is a huge key. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about sexual abuse, and that topic is probably the most sensitive and personal experience. And sexual abuse is very difficult to deal with because most of the victims of sexual abuse are so shameful because their abuser put their shame on them. So this child couldn't protect themselves at all, and the abuser made them believe that it was their shame and blamed them for it. So this child, when this child was growing up, they were carrying shame and blame that was never theirs to begin with. So as a child that cannot protect themselves, and this shamefulness went deep within their unconscious mind and might control a big part of their life and their children's life if they don't connect their unconscious mind with the conscious mind. And it can affect their children extremely because the children, they connect with the collective energy in the home, and a child gets very confused if there is silence or no communications. And that is very common in homes where a person that has been sexually abused in childhood because they didn't learn to express themselves. They never had a voice. Nobody was protecting them. So they preferred the silence instead of talking about their shamefulness. But this knowledge is so sacred because a child has nothing to be shameful of. So even though silence is the seat of intelligence, if the silence is under an act of a shame, we need to talk about it. It needs to come up to the surface. So this awareness is the first step for those that have been sexually abused in childhood, to take the courage to talk about it openly, because this shame is not for anyone to carry. This shame was put on them from somebody else. So shame is like a curse, and a child in a home feels that something is wrong. They feel the shamefulness, because that is an energy that is very easy to spot. And children today, they are so sensitive with energies. They just know something is wrong, and they can see the higher vibrational energies like love, joy, and happiness. It's very easy to see that. But the lower energies like shame and guilt and fear, it's more, we cannot see them so much, but a child can feel them extremely. So we need to talk. So the child is not going to take the shame on them and feel that something is shameful about them. And here I'm talking about a child that has parents that were abused in a way, and they are not talking. So I am talking about a child that hasn't necessarily been abused or anything like that, but the energy of shame can flow to everyone, and it's not necessarily connected with the act of abuse. And a little bit more about how this flows between us. So let's say that sometimes we are the good vibes and sometimes we are the bad vibes, but at one point we are all vibrating on the same level. And that is when we are newborns. When we are born into this life, we are full of love and confidence. A newborn child lays with arms open, and everybody feels good around newborns. That is because they are vibrating so high. But this is very quickly taken away from us by putting these false beliefs about ourselves before the age of 7. So we lose this confidence, for example. And because of many other reasons, jealousy, shame, and blame. And this can happen at home or in school, in friends' house, with other kids, and just from all the environment. We might feel shameful of how we walk or talk or how we look, how we smile, whatever. It can be many ideas. Just because somebody told us to be shameful of something when we were children. And a child is very open-minded because the mind is like empty, is still empty. So the child is open-minded. And all those information from just anyone that have access to the child goes within the unconscious mind that is more or less controlling our whole life if we don't connect the unconscious mind with the conscious mind. And we can do this in meditation. More about that later. So even though we have awareness about this, even though we know how these energies are working, there is always going to be something that is going to trigger the feeling of shame when we are close to certain people. So what did this person tell you when you were a child that you have forgotten about? No, this is something for you to think about. So how can we start to remember what happened, what was told to us before the age of 7? Because we have forgotten about most of our memories from that time. So get this, I'm going to tell you something. Your memory is in a form of emotion. So trust your intuition. Don't try to remember what happened. Feel, and your memory will flow through your emotion. So trust your intuition, how you feel around certain people. If you're around somebody that makes you feel small or shameful or low in energy, there is a reason for it. And you must know you have not any obligations to be around anybody. Even though it's a family, you have to trust your intuition. Okay, so our unconscious mind triggers spontaneously how we vibrate around certain people from a past. And we have also all kinds of information from our esoteric field connected with our unconscious mind, but that is a subject for another video. So again, our unconscious mind triggers how we feel spontaneously around certain kind of people, but our conscious mind controls how we vibe in current situations with full awareness of what is going on. We need to know how to connect our unconscious mind that gives us all kinds of ideas and feelings that we have no idea how to connect and where they came from with our conscious mind when we are with full awareness of what is going on in our current situation. So I would like to say meditation is a key, because meditation is going to connect you with your intuition, with your higher self, and all the emotions that you have within your heart space. Your memory, what you need to remember, is going to flow through your emotions. When we know this knowledge, we want to talk openly about this and our experiences, and return this shame to the universe to transform into something better, if I may say like that. And we just want to keep on with our lives. Lesson learned. But if the other person involved doesn't want to talk about this and act like nothing ever happened, the lesson isn't learned. So for example, a narcissist will probably never have the awareness of this, and will still make you very confused as usual, and is acting like nothing ever happened, and you will never get like a closure with them. But with them, which you get a closure and a respectful communication with responsibility, understanding, apology, and forgiveness, I would say the lesson is learned from both sides. So just remember to respect your boundaries and standards in communication with others, and with whom to communicate. And never, ever put a shame on a child. Don't ever say to your child, you should be ashamed of yourself, because that is a curse that might be following your child throughout their life. So choose your words wisely. Okay, so if you found this video helpful for you, or if you think it might help somebody else that might need to know this knowledge, please like and share it. Be free to go to my YouTube channel. More videos are coming. So the name of my YouTube channel is Kolbrun Karla, LoveKeys.EnergyHealing&Meditation. If you want to give me appreciation for my work, I will put a link under the video on YouTube with my PayPal account. I will not put this link onto the video on Facebook, so be free to find it, if you will. So, until next time, have courage and be kind. Namaste.